Morning, all. And so this morning we've got a couple of minor signings to announce as things kind of settle out. And now that the Schmidt trade's taken place and Petrangelo's signed, I think most of the major waves have already been made. But there could still be some trades. There's still talk of what's going to happen in Vegas, so I'll come to that. But two signings this morning, two players going back to San Jose. Patrick Marleau goes back after being rented out to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he sits only 45 games short of Gordie Howe on the all-time record of games played. So for $700,000, he gets to take a crack at that. And of course, we don't know how long this season's going to be. We're pretty sure it's not going to be an 82-game season coming up. So odds are we're going to see a shortened season. Odds are he may have a hard time passing 45 games. But again, it depends how much he's in the lineup for San Jose and what role he's going to play. Now, Matt Nieto, he's also signing a one-year, $700,000 contract. I always liked Nieto as a member of the Sharks, and I'm kind of glad they got him back. The one shame with San Jose was that Donskoy left. I thought that hurt him last year. So getting Nieto back, that's good. They needed some forward depth, and so Nieto helps with that. And Marleau returning, he always looks weird in another jersey anyway, so it just feels better that he's a Shark than he's anywhere else. So yeah, we'll see how that goes for San Jose. Robin Lehner is undergoing shoulder surgery, and they're saying that it's basically like a cleanup surgery, just nagging injuries, and they're getting it all fixed up. He's expected to be back for opening night, no matter when opening night is. So if it's January 1st, he should be good to go. He shouldn't miss any time. And the teams come out and announce what we've kind of known for days. Fleury's going to be coming back, and they're going to go with those two as a tandem. Word around the league is that they were trying to work out a trade for Fleury, and they couldn't find a taker. And that Vegas didn't want to retain any salary in the mix. And so, with them not wanting to retain any salary, trying to figure out ways for a team to take half of a cap hit and the other team to take half of a cap hit and Fleury, it just didn't work. So, yeah, this is where things get kind of interesting, and the comparison I'm starting to see with the Vegas Golden Knights, and we'll see whether or not this ends up being the case. Is, back in the late '90s, early 2000s, any free agent that became available, any big star that became available, the New York Rangers had to have them. Toronto Maple Leafs were in on that too, but the Rangers would go out and they'd sign guys to tons of money, and it was, this guy's going to be great for us. This guy's a star. And then on the ice, it didn't work. On the ice, they didn't have the chemistry. And so I'm not saying it's exactly like that, because these were players that were generally older than the guys that the Vegas Golden Knights are bringing in. But it's interesting enough that I've got my books there, and I'm thinking, it might be time to do a little bit of a video looking at that era for the Rangers and how trying to, put together a superstar team to try to go for a Stanley Cup, it doesn't always work. So we'll see how things go for Vegas. And again, I've heard, these players might be upset because there's been rumors that they're being moved. It's part of hockey. But at the same time, there is sort of a hired gun aspect to the way that Vegas seems to be running things. So we'll see if that continues. And again, I think Pietrangelo, that's probably the last of it, but who knows? Maybe next year there's another big free agent and Vegas says, well, we want this guy now. And then they're selling off other guys to try to bring that player in. So, yeah, we'll see if that trend continues. Yesterday I reported that Jack Roslovic's on the block. Apparently Niku's on the block as well. They're looking to upgrade their defense, and I guess they don't see Niku as being part of that improved defense. I like Niku. If he's available, I wouldn't mind if the team down the road there actually, picked him up. There have been rumors as well tying Vancouver to potentially Mackenzie Weegar. I don't know if that changes now that they picked up Schmidt, but those were rumors that were out there. So if Niku's on the market, I would think teams would probably look at that, but I don't know how much market value he'd have. He hasn't played very much in Winnipeg, and his stats haven't been overwhelming, and I don't think he's reached his potential yet, so other GMs probably won't offer a lot for Sami Niku. Tim Stützle. So if you're a Sens fan, this has to be at least somewhat concerning that he breaks his arm in Mannheim. They haven't even started the season yet. So he's out 6 to 8 weeks. He's going to have surgery, but apparently it's nowhere near as bad as it could have been. So he's out 6 to 8 weeks, which should not have any impact on whether or not he's good to go for the NHL season, because 8 weeks from now is right around where the NHL would be having the start of training camp. It's probably mid-December. So Stuetzle is out 6 to 8 weeks. And, the good news is it's not as bad as it could have been. It could have been much worse for him. But we'll keep an eye on this and see, are we going to start seeing guys getting hurt that are among that Ottawa core that's supposed to improve this team this year. So keep an eye on that. Now, I wanted to talk about Buffalo, and I debated about whether or not to do a video specifically just on Buffalo. But I'm not going to do that yet because I don't necessarily think that Kevyn Adams is done. But I talked about this with Vancouver yesterday and how I didn't think it was as dire for Vancouver as some may think. And with Buffalo, this is a team that may very well finally be able to take that next step. They may finally be able to get into a playoff chase and actually get into a playoff spot. So their top six, you've got Hall, Eichel, and Reinhart, Skinner, Stahl, and Olofsson. And I don't care who plays with who. That's a good top six. Even if Jeff Skinner has another down year, that's not bad. Eric Stahl down the middle, that's definitely a good pickup. And, of course, Cody Eakin is their third-line center. That's a good pickup. So the center spot's been kind of revamped. It means Reinhart, you don't have to worry about transferring him to center or trying to force him to be a center at any point, for a while at least, and probably for good, because you've also got Cousins coming up. And I would think Cousins probably pushes into that third line center spot. Maybe Eakin ends up on the fourth line. Or you put Cousins on the wing at the NHL level and you transfer him to center later. And of course, Jack Quinn, who they drafted 8th overall, it's possible, he's 19 years of age, it's possible that they get him signed to his ELC and they try him out in training camp and see how it's going to go for him. Now on the blue line, you've got Dahlin, you've got Ristolainen, McCabe, and Jokiharju. That's not bad for a top four. Jokiharju, I think, has been a pretty good pickup for Alex Nylander, who I know Hawks fans have had their mixed opinions on. So Buffalo, when you look at that part of their lineup, it's not bad. Like, their defense is probably better than it gets credit for. And then in net, you have question marks. I think Ullmark's the starter next year, and Hutton's probably the backup. But if they were trying to upgrade, if they tried to make some sort of a change in goal, and they might be able to use some of what is now their strength up front in order to improve their goaltending, this is a team that absolutely could push for and maybe get a playoff spot. It has been a very long time since Buffalo made the playoffs. So I do think Buffalo has a chance this year. I think that adding Taylor Hall changes the look of that team entirely. I think that adding Stahl and adding, especially for the price of Johansson, which really wasn't, 100% fit there in Buffalo anyways, and then adding Eakin, I think this team's in pretty good shape. But I would be interested to know, if you're a Buffalo fan, how's the optimism going right now, and do you feel cautious and guardedly optimistic? It's interesting to me that Buffalo and Vancouver are basically, siblings when it comes to the entire expansion experience. And it's been 50 years of similar results between the two teams. Vancouver this past season rises to relevance, it feels, for the first time in a while. And now they're doing their best to stay in the hunt and stay in a playoff spot. And Buffalo, after years of not feeling relevant, now it feels like they could be again. So it'll be interesting to see. And again, Buffalo does get off to fast starts. They've done it the last 2 seasons, and then they've tailed off. These moves are meant to try to make sure that that's sustainable, that ability to be in the top 3 in that division and perhaps qualify for a playoff spot. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.